Hi, it's Katrina. Number 10. Sand tufas. These strange towers in the desert look like they come from another planet. Located in Mono Lake, California, these melting sci-fi villages are actually tufas, impressive and unique geological formations made up of a strange form of calcium carbonate. Water from freshwater springs full of calcium flows through alkaline lake water rich in carbonates, forming these spires, columns, and mounds, all elements of an incredible city. These tufa towers can reach over 30 feet tall. These tufa towers from California have been exposed by extreme changes of the streams that usually feed Mono Lake. These streams were diverted starting in 1941 by the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power. The lake began to dry out, and the water level dropped, revealing these incredible structures. There are at least 3 separate kinds of tufa in Mono Lake. They can be made out of crystals, sand, or limestone. This tufa offers perfect nesting sites and roofs for birds like a natural high-rise condo. Over the years, these enormous towers slowly decayed until all that's left is what you see now. While the landscape may look mysterious, like something from another planet, it's a spectacular natural geological phenomenon. Number 9. Midla, the place of the dead. The archaeological site of Midla in Mexico is one of the most mysterious places associated with the ancient Zapotec culture. We can find the site today in the Oaxaca Valley, and it was originally inhabited around 100 AD, then later abandoned around 650 AD. Midla started out as a fortified village and blossomed into a massive religious center. The ancient Zapotec believed Midla served as a magical gateway between the realm of the living and the realm of the dead. The elite members of their society were buried here so that they would have an easier time transitioning to the underworld. Today, the site is made up of 5 structures still standing on the valley floor. These were once ancient ceremonial structures where the Zapotec priests could communicate with the dead. Researchers with the National Institute of Anthropology and History believe there could be even more structures hiding underground and are hoping to use ground-penetrating radar to look for more chambers and passages. Number 8. Underwater Mordor. Researchers exploring the Indian Ocean came across a mysterious underwater volcano, or rather the remains of a collapsed underwater volcano. And shockingly, it bears an uncanny resemblance to the Eye of Sauron from The Lord of the Rings. There are also 2 other seafloor structures near it that look like other places in Middle-earth, and so they have dubbed the whole area Underwater Mordor. The Eye is by far the most fascinating structure here. It's an oval depression about 4 miles long and 3 miles wide. And while it might look like the evil eye of some mythical tyrant, it's the caldera of a huge deep-sea volcano. The caldera, which is the mouth of the volcano, stands 980 feet tall above the rim. It even has the impression of eyelids, like the volcano's eye might blink at you. The tall cone-shaped peak at its core looks exactly like a pupil. Underwater Mordor is located 174 miles from Christmas Island near Australia, sitting at a depth of over 10,000 feet. Near the volcano, researchers with Australia's Commonwealth Scientific and Industrial Research Organization also identified small sea mountains covered in volcanic cones. They named these mountains Barad-dûr after Sauron's stronghold, where Frodo nearly lost the ring to the evil orcs. Number 7. Death Valley. Death Valley in California is one of the most mysterious places anywhere in America. Not only is it one of the most inhospitable places on the planet, often reaching average daily temperatures of over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, but it's also home to a hidden underground city, according to Native American lore. The Paiute Indians who lived here centuries before Europeans ever arrived told stories about a vast underground kingdom called Shin-Au-Av, which translates roughly to Ghost Land. They believed that beneath Death Valley was an enormous city with subterranean passages to the underworld. The legends around the city involve a chief whose wife died. Stricken by grief, the chief followed his wife to the land of the dead, helped by spirits down beneath the sandy surface of Death Valley and into a network of underground tunnels. There, he had to battle beasts and evil spirits until he reached a glowing light deep under the earth. This was the underground sun, bathing the subterranean realm in daylight. The chief crossed a rocky bridge spanning a bottomless canyon of darkness and finally arrived in the spirit land, where he found thousands of his dead ancestors all dancing happily in a land of bliss and joy. There could be more to the story. In 1931, Dr. F. Bruce Russell from Cincinnati claimed to find a maze of catacombs underneath Death Valley while inspecting some mining operations. The tunnels might be real. According to Russell, he witnessed a mine shaft sink beneath the sand and open up into a mysterious underground world. Russell and another man descended into the subterranean realm, where they found the skeletons of men who were over 9 feet tall and wearing clothes made from the hides of unknown animals. Nobody has ever found evidence of the underground place in modern times, and the painful fact is that nobody knows if Dr. Russell was telling the truth or if he was completely crazy. There could be something under Death Valley, but nobody has really been looking. Might be worth a shot. What do you think? Could there be a mysterious ancient lost city in Death Valley? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Number 6. The Keyhole Burial Mounds. 1,700 years ago, during the Kofun era of Japan, the nobles and members of the ruling class were buried in enormous funerary mounds. The strange thing is that from the sky, some of the burial mounds look like perfectly shaped keyholes. Located in Sakai City in Osaka Prefecture, one of the most famous is known as the Mozu Kofungan Keyhole, and it is surrounded by a wide moat. The strange thing is that nobody knows why these mounds were made in the shape of a keyhole. What did the trapezoid and circle mean to people in the ancient world? Many of the mounds are several hundred feet across, and they were almost always surrounded by a moat and terracotta soldiers, meant to protect the wealthy noble in the afterlife and show off their status when they were alive. The Mozu complex used to be home to over 100 tombs, but many were raided over the years or destroyed during World War II. 40 survive today, with the largest allegedly belonging to Emperor Nintoku, who ruled in the 16th century. It's the largest tomb in Japan, and according to Heritage Daily, it covers an area twice as long as the base of the Great Pyramid of the Pharaoh Khufu in Giza. But much of the emperor's life is shrouded in myth, and some don't even know if he ever existed. His life and his reign are all mixed up with all kinds of stories, so it's hard to know if he actually ruled or was some type of hero. And so the mystery remains of who is actually buried here. The biggest issue with figuring it out is that the Japanese government has refused to allow archaeologists to open the tomb. It's considered a national treasure and a sacred burial ground, and so it remains unexplored to this day. Do you think the Japanese government is right in preventing archaeologists from studying the tomb? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Number 5. Reverse Waterfall. In 2020, a year that was a nightmare for everyone, something very mysterious happened in Australia. Aerial footage caught the moment that a waterfall went in reverse. The waterfall wasn't cascading down the side of the cliff, but curving up and spraying backwards onto the land. And as if that wasn't amazing enough, the mist created its very own rainbow. But what's the deal with the reverse waterfall? Does this thing actually exist? Turns out it's all just a trick of the wind. When the video was taken, the coast of New South Wales was being battered by torrential rains, and many people were ordered to evacuate. There were winds raging at upwards of 45 miles an hour. At the Royal National Park, the wind pushed the water backwards so that the liquid streaming off the cliffs went up instead of down. This isn't something that normally happens, but it goes to show the power of Mother Nature. The wind was so strong it could push a waterfall the wrong way. Thankfully, things have calmed down and people could return. But what about the waterfalls? They are back to magnificently plummeting over the cliffs of New South Wales and into the beautiful blue sea, the direction that they should be. Number 4. The Face on the Cliff. Louise Coe, who lives in Cornwall in the UK, was out for a hike along a local coastal pathway with her husband when the pair spotted something bizarre in the rock. Much to the couple's surprise, they were looking at a human face, chiseled out of the cliff wall at Bedruthen Steps. It was eerie and unnerving, and they did not know how the mysterious face had gotten there. It looked like it was carved by ancient people who lived in the UK thousands of years ago. But Louise and her husband had walked the same trail countless times and had never seen it before. It must have been recent. The best guess they have is that a landslide caused some of the cliff to break apart, and the destabilization revealed the face of a person looking out across the sea. While it does look like a human face, the most logical explanation is that it was made by nature, and the fact that it looks like a face is just a coincidence. Number 3. San Luis Valley. The San Luis Valley, which reaches from Colorado into New Mexico, has an extremely old and rich history. It was home to many Native American cultures, as far back as the Clovis and Folsom cultures 11,000 years ago. It is also home to many UFO sightings. They were so frequent that a woman named Judy Messeline decided to do something about it, and actually set up a UFO watchtower on her land. She then would invite people up there with her so that they could examine possible UFO sightings together. And guess what? It worked. Just since 2000, there have been 50 UFO-like sightings from that watchtower by dozens of people. The valley was once considered the #1 UFO hotspot per capita, with 257 sightings per 10,000 people. Also in recent years, there have been many reports of animals dying with mysterious cut wounds. There's some spooky folklore about a horse named Snippy that looks like it was sacrificed in some strange ritual. Some have linked the horse's death to UFOs. Local investigators said there were a number of darkened patches that look like scorch or exhaust marks found near the dead horse, and there was no blood around the body. Detectives asked for help, and an Air Force-funded team from CU Boulder, as well as a forestry aide with the U.S. Forestry Service, qualified in radiological monitoring, have been asked to bring in a radiation device to measure for possible radiation in the area. The valley encompasses about 8,000 square miles, so there is plenty of room to witness paranormal activity. Number 2. An ancient Irish tomb. The Creevy Keel Court tomb in Ireland dates back over 4,500 years and is one of the most mysterious burial sites in the country. Even though we can find court-style tombs all throughout Ireland, this is by far the finest example found. It was built in the prehistoric period, yet continued to be used by ancient people all the way until the early Christian period. When the tomb was first catalogued in 1909, we knew it as the Giant's Graves. The locals even referred to it as the Castle of Enchantment. Local Irish in the region have reported all kinds of strange things happening around the tomb. In 1979, resident Gerald Keogh claimed there were lights coming from inside the tomb, lights that were certainly being used by little people, aka leprechauns. I don't think leprechauns had anything to do with the tomb, though. An ancient tribe of humans probably used it in ritual burials, as well as for ceremonies worshiping their pagan gods. After a few centuries, it's likely the locals forgot what the tomb was for. This would have inspired all kinds of stories, which morphed and changed through the years all the way until modern times. But some people believe there are leprechauns holding midnight parties in the ruins. Number 1. Mysterious underwater sinkhole. There is a mysterious underwater sinkhole near General Santos City in the Philippines. The sinkhole continues to grow bigger every year, affecting over 1,000 families living in the area. As the underwater anomaly gets larger and larger, it creeps closer to shore and threatens to swallow the houses of those living in the city. What's really shocking is that for the last 30 years, as the mysterious sinkhole has grown bigger, residents have resisted moving. They have lived their whole lives on the shores of General Santos City in stilt houses, and they do not want to leave. But whether they want to won't matter much when their houses get gobbled up by an underwater hole. The hole appeared suddenly 3 decades ago and just keeps growing, and scientists don't even know what it really is. It appears to be some kind of collapsed underwater wall, extending over 300 feet into the sea. It's a deep blue color, different from all the water surrounding it, and as it creeps closer to the shore and starts swallowing up sand, the hole turns an ugly black color. Unfortunately, officials have already ordered families living in the area to leave their homes. They have set aside a sizable chunk of land for them to rebuild. Recently, the hole swallowed an entire fish aggregating device 150 feet from the shore. It's only a matter of time before it swallows houses and nobody can stop it. How would you feel about an underwater sinkhole about to swallow your neighborhood? Let me know in the comments below, and thanks for watching! Remember to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time!